campaign.
Right, can you hear me first, guys? Sorry, I'm saturating the microphone like a mad woman. Right, so as Lucia said, how are the teachers going to teach this? Who's going to teach it? Where's it come from? And that's what I'm going to tell you now, okay? So back in 2009, the World Health Organization and the United Nations decided to do a global rollout of sexuality education. Before we go further, I just want to point out that the United Nations is where our children's rights have come from, okay? The law here in Wales. The United Nations have also given our children sexual rights, okay? They've got sexual rights from birth. You need to read this, because those sexual rights give the state permission to administer medication to your children without permission, which can be hormone blockers. And we've had receptionists, the surgeon and the receptionist saying, they can't have that permission. They're doing them on after build, and they, so we'd already go in there, right? So they brought this document in, right? And this is a framework for policymakers and educators, right? In here it's telling you the sex education should start from birth. It's telling children to sexually stimulate. It's teaching them how to consent. It's also telling them to differentiate between good and bad secrets. There's a lot of people here that's been abused. Did you know you was involved in a bad secret, okay? These documents are masking abuse. These documents are barriers to disclosure, okay? They're trapping kids in the system. So let's talk a bit more about this document, right? It's the World Health Organization. When you look in the back, I'm a criminologist, right? So what I do is I pick up a document and go to the back. The research is nonsense. Half of it's not in English. They reference back to themselves. There is no critical research in there. It is not scientifically based. But obviously a teacher's going to read this. It's got to be right. It's got to be right, you know. It's reference with bollocks, right? So from there now we've had things go around the world. So I give you California in 2014. There was a book on the shelf in the kindergarten on bondage, right? Took them an entire year to remove that book from the shelf. So that book went in 2015. The legislation came in 2019. So as we go on, now they've done a new one, guys, right? 2018 this one is now. This one starts from age 5. And in here it's telling the kids to exercise their rights. Over parental rights, as well as their sexual rights and bodily rights, okay? Kids are encouraged. The first thing that happened with this document was children are not encouraged to feel comfortable in their own skin. By the time they're 6, they want them to consolidate their gender. It's very confusing. So again, I looked at the research for this, okay? This is done on 87 studies. 29 of those studies were in third world countries, 40 were in America, okay? That does not suit our country. We cannot apply a criminal justice policy from Swansea to London because of the difference in the gang culture, right? This is not going to work. This is not scientifically evidence, I'm telling you now, okay? So what happened was now, we come across the sexual stimulation in 242 schools in England. So I went looking for that. Obviously parents kicked off, right? So they looked at the package themselves. That's where they had the screenshot from, okay? Where that's come from, the United Nations. It is global. They removed that overnight, okay? So that's how quick they can remove certain parts, right? You cannot fall for these policies, right? The legislation has to go because policies are changing. So we get to England now. England, their law is coming this month. Ours is coming next year. So in England, what they're saying is, and it's important, guys, I think pause is important. In England, they are saying you can withdraw your child from the sexual element, right? From now. They're also saying that you can discuss the materials used. Well, let me just give you a little example of what they're using, right? These are like cartoons now. Cartoons on anal sex. You need to watch these videos, right? They're like an advert. They're very appealing to children. Look at that. Facial ejaculation. That's in Scotland, okay? Banana, Nutella, anal sex. Are you the 40% girls? Are you the 40%? Because these pictures are like adverts on TV. Selling kids, there's all different types of porn, better than just straight white people. Look at that, we've got somebody bending over a granny. Fantastic, isn't it? So as I was saying now, you've got to be careful with these policies, because what they're saying is, right, you have got the right to opt out, you have not. How does this affect us in Wales? Well, we've got this document here, guys, right? The RSE. If you speak to the government, they will tell you that this is about same-sex relationships, meaningful relationships. It's not. It's not, right? Because on page 4 of this document, it tells you to refer to UNESCO. Now at the moment, right, they're saying primary schools don't have to teach if they don't want to. We've legislated against us. We've legislated against us. So if some private head teacher or some liberal head teacher that thinks he's a saviour wants to do so, right? Who's there to protect these kids? You say you don't want it, what happens then? Social services come involved because you have preached your child's sexual rights, okay? So it's really important, it is disgusting. It's really important you do not fall for this same-sex nonsense, right? Because it is nonsense. These, right, are models of offending. They are models of offending. The barriers to disclosure, I am reading these documents, they are grooming. They are grooming the educators, okay? The educators groom you. The government now is fighting in this law, and they're passing it back to teachers in the schools, right? So if you were on the school's case, now what does the school do? Social services. It's out the government's hands, guys, right? It's out the government's hands. They're passing it back onto the teacher because the legislation there. We need this gone. We need this gone before it comes in next month. If you look at this draft as well in the back, there's some lovely studies done on local schools, okay? Nothing told you that. Nothing told you any of this. So it's a load of bollocks, basically, isn't it? It's a load of bollocks, because this does look lovely when you read it. But it's a load of crap, guys. And that's a fact. Now, I've got all these documents here for you. We've even got documents from the Welsh Government. What do they say? Kirsty Williams, an education minister, won't even confront us, right? She lied on. But there's Lynn Neagle, who is the chair of the Children and Young People's Education Committee. What's she saying? She denied it. Denied all knowledge. Blocked her constituents. Then we found a letter online between her and Kirsty Williams. Why is there no opt-out provision in this one? 7-page document. She couldn't even answer the question. So guys, either they're either complicit in child sexual exploitation, or they haven't got a clue. Either way, they've got to go. They have got to go next election, if not before. And our plan is, right? We're taking this to courts, right? This is going to courts, right? I'm not going to lie to you now. If we fail the courts, right, we are chucking them out the Senate. Because that is our building. We do not want this. They have called us twice and we've told them in overwhelming numbers we do not want it, and we go in behind our backs. This isn't a parental issue, this is a child protection issue. Okay? I was abused, but they got away with it. I live in a beautiful house, okay? There's kids out there in my position, there's kids in care, there's kids that we need more services. More services. We do not close doors on these kids, right? Bottom line is, if we go on to this in court, we will physically throw them out. And that is the way it has to be, guys, right? You all need to pass this information on. This is all true. I didn't write none of this. I did not write this. I've been following it for 7 years, and I am more than qualified to call this. Right? None of them. I will face everybody on this planet to debate this, right? I am going to vote. I can plan this. I know it so well, guys. I know it so well. And I challenge any single person on this planet to confront me, to debate this with me. This is true. And it has to go, guys. It has to go. Every single one of them need to get rid of this, right? Follow us on Facebook for information on how we can proceed. That's all I gotta say.